Bitcoin has been on a moon mission, dudes and dudettes. So we're going to take a look at some higher and lower time frame charts, as well as looking at some of my favorite indicators, see what they're saying as confluence, and of course, due to popular demand, the STUBER FIB technique. So with that being said, we're going to start right into the weekly chart. I like to start zoomed out and work my way in just to get a feel for the overall market. I've been going on about this for such a long time that obviously we got that 618 rejection. I gotta say, we're not getting rejected as hard as I thought we were going to. And something that is actually looking quite bullish to me. I mean, that rejection, it was bound to happen. It was such an important level as far as one of the main Fibonacci levels that gets respected, as well as this structure back here. Every single market cycle, we've seen reactions at that level in the past. So that absolutely makes sense. Is this going to be the turnaround for the market? I'm starting to lose confidence in that fact. I'll go over the why. And I mean, there's just a few things in the indicators here. I mean, for one, we did actually get this bearish pivot on this oscillator 4. Right as we were testing up to that structure level, that Fibonacci level, as well, we have this indicator down here, this oscillator showing that we did have this big red bearish dot here. And so that's a lot of things going for the bears in that situation, but we're actually just getting a very quick recovery, and we are going to test those levels again. I'll go into a few reasons why I think we will get rejected again, but you know what? It's good to zoom out and have an open mind, because if certain levels start breaking, we have to be ready to react, and kind of some important levels to watch for. And you guys know, I keep talking about the STUBER fibs. You guys in the Discord, I mean, you're very well aware of it at this point. I'll go into it in more detail later on looking for scalping entries and that kind of thing. But just the fact that Fibonacci pocket has been respected so well on so many different time frames, I'm almost wondering if this market cycle is different because so many people have been watching this $48,000 level that, you know, maybe it's possible we do get some kind of a fake out through that level, because everybody is expecting this rejection here. And I mean, the fact that we got it, obviously not too surprising there. But it almost looks like if we end up closing candle bodies above this level, I mean, for one, we have to consider what has happened every other time that's happened. I mean, here's where we got our weekly close here, straight parabola from there. This market cycle back here got closed above, came back, retested it, and parabolic from there. So something to consider with watching that level. If we get a weekly close above it, I mean, we're going to have to really see what happens there. I have a feeling the bulls may take the wheel in full throttle there. But something to watch for, guys. And I'm just thinking about it more and more recently with how well these Fibonacci levels have been respected this market cycle. I'm almost open to the idea that maybe we do get one more push to the upside to test these higher Fibonaccis, because can you imagine the FOMO in the market if we start approaching 60,000 US dollars again? Everybody is going to think that we are just going to blast off through and right to all-time highs. And you know what? Absolutely, it is a possibility. But just seeing how well in the smaller time frames, how these fibs are respected, that's honestly, it's just on the back of my mind as far as the longer time frames. I mean, if we start to see some serious looking weakness in this level up here, that's just something that we have to keep in mind. I'm not saying that we're going to get up there. I still have a hunch that we're going to get rejected much sooner than that. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see a little fake out above this level yet. Let's just hop over to the daily chart here. Actually, sorry, back to the weekly. One other thing I wanted to bring up, which I think maybe there is reason to believe we'd have more upside, is this indicator down here. And I know I saw someone in the group mention this earlier on a shorter time frame, but this is actually something that I took very serious back at these levels here. Was we saw this money flow cloud here end up flipping green. And on a weekly time frame, I mean, at the end of the day, money talks. So if there's actually money flowing into the market, I mean, it's pretty hard for the price to not move to the upside, right? And we still do have that now again, right? We have this green cloud and it looks like it's expanding. So that's something that we have to strongly consider, there's big players in the space now. And I mean, it always takes bigger players to have any kind of movement every market cycle moving forward, because it takes significantly more money to push the price at all. Generally speaking, percentage wise, bull markets get smaller and smaller as we go. But there's no denying that it looks like there is money flowing into the market with ETFs and all that sort of thing. Maybe we are just going to start this run early. I have my doubts, like I said, but just something worth considering there. Hopping over to the daily chart rather, we do also have this nice buy signal on, this is the trend collection indicator. And this is something that I also talk about as looking for confluence or looking for strategies with the indicators. Is one thing I really like to do is spot when certain signals are trending a certain direction, right? And as it stands right now, we just have these W's setting a series of higher highs, just showing an obvious trend to the upside. And as well, we do have this buy signal. This is basically a perfect double bottom of these buy signals, but they are actually on an uptrend. So seeing those buy signals and seeing that we're holding this trend support so well, we do obviously have support below us as well. The supply demand zones, we have these green boxes forming below us, which is demand. And you can see that we have just recently printed another box here. So, I think it makes a lot of sense that we do test a little bit higher. And I was talking about a potential fake out above that 48,000. Well, look where this supply zone lines up. This would be perfect for a little fake out. That would bring us up towards 50, even all the way towards 52,000. So that's another important level, in my opinion, as far as resistance goes. So something to watch for there. Using the indicators, I'm going to be watching for a change in direction. We lose this support of this trend, and yes, it happens from time to time. But if we start to all of a sudden, and this would take a while to play out, obviously, because it's a daily chart, but, we set a sell signal, we lose this support trend. We end up setting a sell signal, and then let's say we set a lower sell signal. I think that's a good indication that, hey, we might actually be in for a bit of a downtrend for a little while, or some sort of a crazy move to the downside. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then, but just kind of something that I don't take lightly with these indicators. I like to kind of notice which way they are pointing the trend out to me, because sometimes it's easy to just go blind from looking at too many indicators, too many trend lines, anything like that. So just to kind of spot which way they are trending, it just kind of helps me. I just use that as confluence when trying, just kind of picking which way I should be trading more than anything. And you guys know I'm not really trading the daily chart anyways, but again, I like to start zoomed out and then work my way in. So let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. I'm actually going to close some indicators here. Just go for a naked chart. Oh, let's go way back here. So this is an example of my STUBER FIB technique. Actually, I'm looking for a resistance STUBER FIB here. So just to kind of show you what I mean here, is we were setting just a trending to the upside, right? We were just setting higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. And so basically between our last high and, our last higher high and then the highest high, our lowest point between the two is down at this level here, which also lines up very nicely with just the bottom of this entire range back here. So you can see that we actually did break down below that level. And yes, so far it was just a fake out. Oh God, here we go again. So it was just a bit of a fake out, but what we have to watch for now is that bounce. So we had that break in structure, and that'll lead a lot of people to shorting late or just trying to play that breakout, but they obviously would have got wrecked instead of waiting for the pullback, right? So after we had that break in structure, that's where I start to look for these Fibonacci's. So I'm going to pull it from top to bottom rather than bottom to top, because I'm looking for a rejection rather than support. And that would bring us up towards this level if we are going to get that full move. The 786, we're looking at about 46.8 all the way up towards, well, calling it right back to 48,000 pretty much, 47.8, 47.9 thousand. I personally think we're on our way there right now. I don't know if it's going to happen today or in a few days, maybe early next week, but I really have a strong suspicion that we are working our way towards this level. Maybe we need a couple pullbacks in the meantime before we get there, but I'm going to be very interested in looking for short opportunities in this box. Obviously, I could be very wrong. We might blast through, but that's just where risk management comes in. I'm not set in stone on this idea, but what I'll really be looking for, again, you guys know I don't really play the 4 hour too much, but when we end up getting into this box here, I will definitely be basically looking for lower time frame STUBER fibs, just looking for breaks in support. You know, if we have a series of higher lows on a lower time frame and we lose one of those higher lows, creating a lower low, that's when I'll be looking for those fib pullbacks from basically wherever we're topped out down to wherever we have some kind of a range forming. As long as we have those structure breaks, that's where I will be looking to set my fibs once again, and looking for those short entries if we do get that kind of price action. Obviously, we blast right through. I mean, we still have potential for some kind of a failed break or even a perfect double top. We just blast right through here, come up here, get rejected. You know, that would make a lot of sense too. Getting some kind of just a wick above and then closing the candle bodies below this level. I think in that case, we would see a deep correction as well. So just a few things to watch out for on the longer time frames there. Let's see here. Let's dive right into some degen timeframes here. I'll show you guys basically the Fibonacci level I'm currently watching and kind of what makes me adjust my fibs, because when I'm looking at a 5 minute or a 1 minute, obviously these ranges change very quickly, and I'm not always going to get my entries at these levels that I want to either. Like right now, I have an additional entry right around $45,055 or something like that, somewhere just above the 786. And I'm hoping to get tagged on that and then hopefully carry to the upside. If not, I'll get stopped out. Not a big deal. Like I said, I'm already in a position from down here, and I took 2 take profits on the way already. So I just want to add back into my position basically if we pull back here, because I haven't got to test this fib pocket yet. So basically, looking at my previous trade, basically where I entered this position, and I did enter a little bit late, but we had this high here, and we set a higher high. So this would in turn be our confirmed higher low. So that's where I'm pulling my fib from, right? So in that case, basically after we break above this level, that's where I just start chasing the price and seeing where we get rejected, and if and when we come back and test that 786, 886 pocket. So that's where here's where we got rejected. I'm just chasing the price with my fibs. Look at that. We dropped right into that pocket, dropped a little bit below, but got my entry there right at the 786. And took off from there. So then when I'm looking for profits, taking profits, I would be looking for the opposite fib pull, just looking for resistance levels. So at that point, this was our high, and here was the low when I took my entry. So basically where I am taking some profits is right around the 0.5 fib, just for a very safe downsizing risk more than anything, and just paying myself a little bit. And then my second take profit was just below the 786 fib. And, the other half, I'm just going to let run. That's generally how I treat most of my trades. I treat the first half like a scalp, because that way, I can downsize my risk or even make a little bit of money even if I'm wrong. So that's kind of the beauty that I see there. It helps take emotion out of the game for me. And then I like to keep the other half running, because you know what? I'm not banking on hitting home runs with every trade. You're just going to get yourself wrecked if you're always aiming for the fences. But you know what? I'm willing to take it if the pitch is thrown, basically. Damn you, Smallio. Don't make me mute you. So yeah, that's basically my thought process there. So like I said, I have half my position running, and I would love to add back in, because you know what? We got this other break of structure, right? So at the time I took this trade, this was our high. Now we've set a higher high. What's the lowest point between the two? That's right there. Going to pull my new Fibonacci. And that is currently where I would like to basically re-add into my entry. which just happens to be just how this market structure formed, just happens to be right around my current position anyways. So I'll just be adding in at that level if we get there. Anyone have any questions so far? Any altcoins you want me to check this kind of thing on, certain time frames, anything like that? At this point, I've kind of gone over the bulk of my analysis, just because I think we're getting very close to that bigger resistance level. So, I mean, we just have to see what the market's going to do here. I really, like I said, I really think we're going to go up a little higher. Happy to be wrong. You know, I'm trading shorter time frames anyways. We start to see shorter time frames breaking structure, I'll be looking for fibs the opposite direction and looking for scalps that way. And you know what? If I catch a runner that way as well, I'll gladly take it if I can do that. So, but other than that, I was more so just going to hang out on the shorter time frames. I can even zoom in further just to be able to hopefully map these out live a little more. If I zoom into the 1 minute, there's going to be a lot more opportunities, but it's also a little more risky. I just find that these work a lot better. I mean, for me anyways, I've been finding it work a lot better on the 5 minute chart rather than the 1 hour. Just obviously the higher time frames carry a little more weight, a little more significance, a little more follow through. So that's something to consider there. But I absolutely play it on the 1 minute as well. Again, not financial advice. We could all have the same charts, same trend lines, same indicators, same settings, and I guarantee you we would trade the market completely different. There's obviously ways you can misinterpret how you should be pulling these fibs, because obviously it's not necessarily going to work. Well, obviously nothing's necessarily going to work every time anyways, but if you don't have a good understanding of market structure and when a market structure breaks, if you're just kind of pulling fibs from random pivotal points, it's not necessarily going to play out the way that I personally like to look at it anyways. I personally like to see these structure breaks before looking for a pullback. So for example, if I was looking for a short right now instead, well, like I was just talking about, down here is our higher low. So I wouldn't actually be looking at setting those fibs until we broke below this level. If we got something like that and started recovering, that's where I would start looking for a resistance fib, because we've broken this structure then. That's where I'm starting to look for the bounce. And in that case, this is all theoretical at this point, but it would be something like that. And that's where I'd be looking to short in that case. Quack. I saw somebody posted that, or got an alert for that Woo coin. Woo coin with a couple extra O's there. One of the altcoins I've been talking about a lot on these streams as well has been Eng. This still looks good to me. I mean, I've been saying that for a while, but we broke this very large daily downtrend, and I mean that has several touch points. I really like the break of this resistance, retesting it as support on the way down. And once again, I just have these Fibonacci's because, you know, we broke this here. It's basically we had low, lower low, lower low, lowest low way down here. This would have been our lower high. We broke that level after we ended up seeing a pullback. We got right back to the 786 actually. Pretty damn pinpoint accurate. Maybe a few cents off there. But yeah, there's a few things going for that in my opinion. That's a daily chart, so whatever. That's one that I've been spot accumulating a little bit. Yeah, I'm still holding some Eng. I actually bought some more yesterday. I've just been DCAing into this one a little bit. Yeah, let's check out that Woo. Of course it's on Mexi. Oh boy, look at that daily chart. Okay, let's zoom right in the 5 minute. Yeah, I can tell you jack shit about this. Not a lot to go over here. The 1 minute looking pretty heinous. Yeah, don't know what to tell you. Let's see what the indicators are saying. Oh, here we go. We have a sell signal, boys and girls. Yeah, can't go over much there. Yeah, is anyone in any positions, whether it's leverage, spot, what kind of altcoins are you looking at? If you want me to check out some of those Stuber fibs just to see if you're pulling them right, looking at them the same way I am, that sort of thing, feel free to throw them in the chat there. 50 million volume. Must be quite the hype. Yeah, if no one has any requests, I'm actually going to bring up my favorite chart, the 1 minute. But yeah, like I said, I really want to see us test back down to the Stuber fib box here. In an ideal scenario, especially that we've been closing some candle bodies below the 382 support. Usually when that happens, there's a lot more probability that we are going to test the 786. So if we do, then like I said, I'll be adding a little back into my position. We drop this red fib, I'm out of my position. And when I enter on these positions too, guys, like I know a lot of people, I obviously use high leverage trading short time frames. That's generally speaking to be able to keep my stops fairly tight. Also understand I'm usually laddering into my positions. So when, I'm not going all into my position at the 786, generally speaking, I will have a few different entries in, and as I go lower, closer to my stop, they generally get heavier. So, let's just say theoretically something like a sixth of my position would be entered here, and then let's say a third and then a half kind of a thing. So that really helps bring your average entry down. And I'm not saying to triple down, quintuple down on your position. I'm saying I have a set margin amount that I'm willing to put into this trade, and I'm going to break it up from there, and smaller positions up here and getting heavier closer to my stop. Like I said, it just helps minimize that risk, just because then my average entry is going to be significant lower. And if I don't get it, quite often I'm only getting my first, maybe my second entry when I'm taking these scalps. Yeah, it's a smaller position than I had intended, but it's better than getting wrecked on a much bigger position than intended. So obviously the most important part of this game is to preserve capital. Making it is a bonus, but just protecting yourself, just weigh out the risks, right? If you're new to trading, I mean, yeah, it looks awesome when full disclosure here, guys, when you see my 69x trades or 100x trades and you're seeing crazy percentages, it's really hard not to get the FOMO to do that same thing and follow suit. Understand I've been trading for over 4 years now, and I have a general understanding of how my position sizing is working. And, I'm very comfortable with the amount I'm going to lose in a trade, because the way I see it, and somebody who mentored me back in the day, something they taught me was basically, if I'm excited on a winning trade, I probably used an irresponsible amount of capital on that trade. And on the opposite end, if I'm upset that I lost a trade, I'm probably, again, using an irresponsible amount of money on my position. So something to consider there. To be a good trader, it shouldn't be, yeah, obviously it's fun posting wins and, getting those wins more importantly, but just understand, if your emotions are high, trading is supposed to be a very unemotional thing. So just sometimes just take a step back and consider how you feel about your positions. Something to consider there. VRA. What do we got going on here? What kind of time frame you looking at, Smallio? Ooh. Right at some strong resistance. There's no doubting that. But let's just go to a naked chart here. if we're just basically going since, you know, we broke out of this big wedge here, we set this high, we have this higher high. Here's our higher low on this swing here. Let's pull a fib from there. And well, would you look at that? Would you just look at it? That's kind of right. Well, it is right where we're finding support right now. So absolutely beautiful. I love that pullback. As far as like spot accumulation, I know nothing about this project, but if I was accumulating it, I mean, that's just an excellent buy signal to me. Again, obviously, I gotta say it, not financial advice, but just, yeah, as far as waiting for a pullback, I mean, that's the thing, right? You gotta understand that so many people, when you get this break of structure, this is where people are starting to FOMO and buy in. And I mean, just obviously waiting for the pullback, it just, yeah, sometimes you miss a nice big breakout and oh, that sucks, but just what looks healthier, you know? If you're looking for healthy price action, just looking for those pullbacks is so key. And especially when trading with leverage, you guys. Trading with leverage is obviously a lot higher risk than spot trading. Honestly, when I started trading my first year, maybe even closer to 2, I was just spot trading. I wasn't even touching leverage. I didn't touch it until I had a good grasp of charts and understanding just important levels and Fibonacci's and stuff like that, even just some indicators like the RSI. Then I kind of got more into the shorting and longing side of things. But as I was just learning, I was just thinking, hey, here's a coin that I'm interested in holding. I'm just going to try and sell before pullbacks and then rebuy it back just to kind of accumulate coins. Just coin collecting rather than just worried so much about the dollar amount, because I found it's just so much easier to keep my emotions out of things when I wasn't looking at the dollar amount. So that's kind of how I learned how to trade. Obviously, everyone has their own situation that works for them, but if you're new to trading, I just highly recommend not getting into stupid amounts of leverage like what you see me posting. Coffee and hungover. Love to hear it. Yeah, if you have any questions about how I read fibs, obviously you can pull fibs from many different levels. Just what I'm showing you guys today is more so just how I like looking at it. And I mean, I've been showing on the shorter time frames as well, you guys, in the last few days. Like, I actually want to hop over to the 1 minute just to see how often you can see it play out. I'm not sure if this one would have got it here or not. Actually, I don't think it quite made it. But after we broke this structure, pulled back, got very close to the 786 there. Actually, you know what? Here's a better example. Obviously, we had this whole range back here. We have our low here. Oh God, here we go again. After we ended up breaking this range, then we have this low here. We pull our Fibonacci from this level, wherever we end up topping out. And look at that. Right in that pocket. Beautiful entries there. You guys. Screenshot that VRA. Yeah, if you want to take a screenshot of that. There we go. The 69x plays. My 69x play is from 45,010 cents. And I am looking to add back in because I was showing in the Discord earlier. I took profits at, where was it? Had this fib pulled. I know my second take profit was at 45,333. I announced that ahead of time. And yeah, so I still have half of this position running. And if we come back down to this green box, I plan on adding back into my position. And obviously with that, we had this high, higher high, pulling the fib from the lowest point between the two. Up towards there, and that is our green box. That would be where my STUBER fib pocket is there. Yeah, bring her in. But yeah, even yesterday I was pointing out, oh man, it would be hard to find on the 1 minute chart. Actually, I think it might have been right here. There was somewhere I ended up having a Fibonacci pulled, and I ended up taking the same scalp trade 4 times in a row. I want to say it was something like this where we had just a high, higher high, pulled a fib, something like so. I can't even remember if this was the one, but obviously we would have had this play. Here we would have hit it again. I like to take profits. I actually just started doing this. I added the 0.5 fib. I just find that sometimes just for ease of structured levels, I was kind of going just shy of the 382, just basically going for any structure level. Well, on a micro time frame, a structure level that was lining up just below the 382 as my first take profit like that. That's where I just started pulling a fib the opposite direction, looking at the 0.5 as my first take profit and the 0.678 or 786 rather. In this case, it would have been something like so. But yeah, basically every time we came back down to this level, you can see that we came back up and tested that 0.5 several times. So if you're looking for scalp plays, absolutely. I mean, it hits that first take profit so often. And whether you want to update your stop loss to break even or you just want to hold on to that trade, maybe do what I did and just keep adding, like as I'm taking that first quarter profits, then I'm adding that quarter back near my entry. So just kind of taking the same position over and over until it either fails or we get the breakout and then I have a runner with half of a position. So I'm hoping we get a pullback, something like that. It would be nice to get that during this stream so that we could just see how it reacts, because obviously nothing's guaranteed. But as far as looking for, not FOMOing in on that breakout, we're looking for that deep pullback, right? We want to retrace the majority of the move just because at that point, you just gain that edge of just having a much tighter stop loss. If you're looking at this as your invalidation level, but you're FOMOing in on that breakout, obviously that's quite a significant loss compared to having your average entry somewhere down here and getting stopped out, right? Yeah, the duck says yes. Yeah, I don't know for sure if we're going to get that pullback, but like I said, I'm not in a rush. I already have half my position from back here running. So, I mean, if we go straight up, that's why I held on to half my position, right? That's why I never like closing my entire position. I always love leaving at least, well, usually around half. Like I said, I take my first quarter really quickly. Then my second quarter is also quite quickly. And then after that, then I'm kind of done playing the range and I'm seeing if my other half is going to catch a breakout. But I like to close my first half within the same trading range, basically. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if anything's unclear, you guys, if something's not making sense with how I pull these. As it stands right now on this little downtrend, just on the 1 minute chart here, basically we have this low, we have a lower low. This would be the highest point between the two. So I'm looking at this as our immediate resistance basically on the 1 minute chart. So what I would love to see is if we climb. I don't really want to see us right now break above this level. I'd rather see us get rejected below it and push us back down to where I want to get my entries in. Yeah, what can we find here? If we do end up getting a break above this structure level, I'll actually consider pulling a new fib and readjusting my stop loss and everything, just because if we end up reversing this very micro analyzed swing here on the 1 minute, if we end up, let's say, breaking this lower high structure and coming up something like this, that's where I'm going to pull a new fib, right? From our lowest point would be here. And wherever we end up topping out, I'm just going to kind of be chasing the price as we break this red box here, just looking for this new fib pocket. And then obviously I'd be bringing, since I'd be re-entering my position or adding into my position earlier, I'd also be bumping my stop loss up. So yeah, I would like to watch this live. It would be nice if we can kind of see something like that happen live with you guys right now. That would be ideal. And then we can see how it plays out. But yeah, as it stands right now, I'm looking for this green box down here. Anyone in any positions? I know I asked this already, but anyone in any juicy longs? Smallio? Or sorry, Lord Dump You, the fourth, in any juicy longs? I know I saw that you posted a few earlier. Only one long left. XMR. Whew. What happened there? I guess, you know, if I really want to microanalyze this, this would be one of those times where we have just on this little immediate swing it had going on here. Oh shit, this is the daily. Ooh. So after we had this little pump to the upside here, we had this would be our high. We obviously set a higher high. Then the lowest point between the two would be down here. We look at that structure break. Let's just see what kind of a fib pull we got. Look at that. Basically bang on to the 786 even on a daily time frame, you guys. Like I said, that's just such a powerful Fibonacci pocket. I can't stress that enough. I'm trying from now on, just recently anyways, I'm trying to basically only put my entries in that area because it just tightens up the stop loss so much. It's just such a structured trade setup that it just plays out time and time again. And you can just see it. I mean, just eyeballing it, you can see it happening so often. I mean, let's just say, you know, back here, I can point one out very quickly here. We had this low, had this lower low. We ended up breaking that lower high. That would be the highest point between these 2 points. Where did we pull back to after that? Boom. There it is. Time and time again, leggies. Agreed, Max. This community is too much. Oh man, I've just been cackling the last couple days at some of the conversations we've been having. You guys are too much. But yeah, guys, as far as fibs goes, like this is on a daily chart. You guys saw me pointing it out on a minute chart. I absolutely love this setup. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, there is a certain understanding of structure levels. You can't just necessarily pull those fibs from any random point, any particular pivotal point, for example. Like, let's just say right here, you know, even though this was an obvious pivotal point, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for that resistance play because we never actually took out this low, right? If we would have ended up taking out this low, let's say right here, that's where I would have then, instead of looking for that bounce, I would have been looking for the rejection wherever we bottomed out. That's where I would have been starting to look for a short in somewhere like in this area, which obviously in this case, this is a daily chart. Realistically, you would have got stopped out there, right? But I'm waiting for those structure breaks before I pull the fibs, right? Oh, that's a nice looking XMR trade, legend. 1200%. Nice. Well done. And that's a long. Oh, you're in from way earlier. So you got in way back here. Sorry, what am I thinking? You got in on this. Yeah, well, I don't know what I was thinking. Don't do drugs, kids. Beautiful entry. Funny, that random pivotal point. Obviously, you can see that. Yeah, it still does like to respect these fibs, but I just don't trust it as much. Just pulled from that swing bottom to where we topped out so far. Again, yeah, you know what? It did actually play out. Obviously, a smaller swing like that, it's going to be a much closer take profit. But you can just see how well those fibs are respected. It doesn't matter the size of swing, what time frame, they're respected so well. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens on the midterm here, you guys. I know I've been calling for this rejection for such a long time, but just how we have this green money flow down here and the fact that this pivotal point, I mean, that rejection wasn't near as strong as I thought it was going to be. Like I said, yeah, I think this is a level we're going to have to be watching, obvious reasons. And like I went over earlier in the stream, this is one of those examples that, hey, we were trending to the upside. We had this range low here. We broke this structure. That's where I'm looking for this rejection fib. I'm looking for the bounce. I'm not playing this FOMO breakout trade to the downside. I'm waiting for that bounce and hoping that I see some lower time frame confluence. Hopefully see the indicators lining up with my Fibonacci pockets. Let's say on a 1 minute chart, I end up seeing lower high reversal warnings come into play. Because like I was talking about earlier, I like watching for the signals on the indicators. If I see the W's start to trend a different direction, especially if it lines up with those fibs, I'm more likely to go more aggressive into that position because I just have a little more confluence and have the indicators agreeing with my own strategy, right? Just added confluence. The more points that I have checking my boxes, the more aggressively I'm going to attack a trade, right? Let's see if this would have reached my second take profit already. Getting close. Obviously, I never took this trade, guys. This is a very micro time frame, and like I said, it never had that structure break, but those fibs still get respected so well sometimes. So try this on dot on the 1 minute. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. On the 1 minute, you say. Something to consider, you guys, is, and like I'm not familiar with personally trading dot, especially on lower time frames. I know it's a fairly large cap coin, so it probably does have good volume on it. Something to consider is a stop loss isn't necessarily worst case scenario on positions, and I'm kind of hesitant to trade altcoins on high leverage because I have had things happen in the past where I have a position. I was talking about this last night, I believe. I have had a 20x position with a stop loss in a 5% profit, and I had that position get liquidated before. And that's when I was trading an altcoin. So there was obviously a lack of trading volume, a lack of liquidity, and you know what? Got hit with some serious slippage there. And that's why, never go all in on a trade. Even if you think that you have yourself protected with a stop loss, always just be aware of potential things that can go horribly against you, right? So I'm just hesitant to play altcoins in general. I mostly trade Bitcoin. But I think DOT, it's probably a lot better than some of the other altcoins, right? Something that's catching my eye right now. Let's just see here, actually. I guess from this level, that would be our higher high. So this is our low point down here. If I was looking for my ideal setup, I'm more targeting way down here for that specific setup. And I mean, from the looks of it, maybe we will get that dump because, I mean, if we start losing these fibs, I don't think it'll take much to just push us right through this gap. I know a lot of people love the 618 fib. I don't really watch it all too closely anymore, other than the macro time frame. Macro time frame, I still watch it quite religiously. But as far as shorter time frames, I just like the 786, 886 more. And there's the possibility we do end up finding a bounce at the 618. But I would just rather, I'd rather miss that trade personally and try and catch one down here. So that's just me personally. Yeah, is there any last minute questions about how I look at anything? And obviously, guys, I am quite active in the community in general, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm posting these setups quite aggressively lately just to kind of, I guess, really lay it out there for you guys. Obviously, a lot of times when you're playing on these shorter time frames, I mean, the structure is changing quite often, almost constantly. So yes, I might send one setup and then all of a sudden we break that higher high that I'm watching. Well, that totally changes my fibs, right? Because every time we have a structure break, that's where I'm readjusting my fibs. So let's say right now, for example, we end up breaking this higher high. If we get above there, that's where I'm going to start looking for some new levels. So let's just say in theory, we pull back something like this, end up coming back up like this. That's where I am then going to be pulling a fib, something like this, right? Just the structure has changed a little bit. There's a new higher high. We would have our new low point between the two, and that's where I'm pulling my fibs. So that's when I am then looking for that entry in that fib pocket. And just like every trading strategy, you guys, none of them are going to work 100% of the time. But just like I mentioned earlier, it's, in my opinion, a lot better to wait for that pullback and just have a much tighter invalidation level than FOMOing into those trades, right? And I know everybody, myself included, I feel it. I really want to just FOMO all in when I see these kinds of breakouts potentially happening because, they do happen. And the odd time that breakout does just go straight for just a straight rip to the moon, it makes it hard to not feel that on your next trade. I mean, when you miss a home run trade, you really get FOMO after that. You have to be careful and just reassess your emotions after something like that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it just makes more sense to just have a structured plan and just trade that plan, right? Then that's another thing, guys, like I was talking about earlier, that's why I don't like closing entire positions. I like having half a position running because if we go straight up from here, with Bitcoin, like I was talking about, we don't get my next entry. Well, at least I still have some running from way back here, right? It's not as big of a position as I want, but there's no need to FOMO in early and just totally destroy my entry level, right? I don't want to ruin my position. Oh, I gotta catch up a little bit here. Dot in the 1 minute. Dot returned to all-time high. I mean, I don't know anything about the fundamentals with Dot. I mean, I hear good things, but I'm not a fundamental guy. I just read charts and yeah, I mean, anything is possible, right? Like as long as it's staircasing higher and breaking higher highs. Then we just have to wait and see until the longer time frames break that structure. Let's say we all of a sudden drop a higher low structure. Then we just have to start considering that, hey, now it's going to trend down until we break structure again, right? Inge. I'll check out Inge. Oh, that was a nice rip. Yeah, I don't hold any of this, unfortunately. What kind of a time frame are you thinking with Inge? I'll zoom in. Let's check the 4 hour. I mean, technically, we had this big wick here. I'm the way I like to draw support boxes, I like to take kind of the lowest point of a range and map out the whole wick. So this is a little bit ridiculous, but this entire box is the 4-hour support that I'm currently watching. Let's just see if I can pull a random fib, something like so. I mean, we are finding support right in that fib there. That's probably on the daily. We did have this little pause on the daily and then broke out and kind of set this range here, right? This whole range that we're trading in, we are currently respecting the 786, 886 of that. We end up losing that range. I mean, that's when we have to start looking at much lower price levels, right? Testing some of these important structure levels way back here. But as it stands right now, I mean, support always looks weak until it gets the bounce, but support is support until it's broken. And so far, we are holding this range support. Oh, you're looking for shorter time frames, 1 hour, 15 minutes, somewhere in there. Let's just check it out here. Well, I can tell you what I do see. Obviously got that nice little bounce. We even broke above this little bit of structure back here, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see a little pullback, but it doesn't look too bad. Even just if we get that kind of a pullback. In my opinion, I'd be looking for something like that on the shorter time frame, like an hour. Let's see what the 15 minutes up to. You know, if you're looking for some kind of a scalp setup, I mean, just as far as this little run it's had, I mean, you can see we even had this upward sloping trend line here. Broke that support as well on this run. I mean, this was our high. We set a higher high. We ended up breaking this structure, right? So at this point, we could start looking for those fibs pulled the opposite way. Obviously, a very short time, range here or whatever, but I mean, if you're looking for more of those 15-minute trades, the 5-minute trades, I mean, that would be a level of interest to watch how it reacts, looking for possible rejection at that level. Just because, like I said, we have that break in structure, and then a bounce would make a lot of sense. I don't really want to FOMO into that kind of a short setup, but like I said, if we get some kind of a bounce up here, I mean, I'd be looking for weakness in that level. And if we do get a little bit higher, that's when I would start to look for some kind of a failed break above that range high. If we got, we actually break through that box, get just kind of a wick, and then close in some red candles here, just looking like a bit of weakness at that level, I'd be willing to take a stab at a short in that situation. Jupiter. Is that jupe.egg? Oh, it's on Binance, hey? Is this the right one? Oop. Around 51 cents. On the 4-hour, I can't really say too much about this. Let's check out the 1 hour. I mean, yeah, maybe we're getting a bit of a failed break here. We're gonna have to see how this candle closes. Actually, even the next candle, see how that if it stays above this line, actually get a green candle close. We end up getting closes below this level. That's where again I would start to, I think we'd be in a fairly significant downtrend then, and then I would start pulling fibs, just looking for resistance levels, whether I'm looking to downsize my position and try and accumulate more or looking to short. I don't know if there is leverage trading on this or not. But yeah, that's not looking great yet, in my opinion. Let's see if I can find some random trend lines here, maybe find a wedge or something. Maybe we're retesting a wedge. I don't like that we had this little bit of a failed break there. It's not really the cleanest trend line that I'd like to see. Let's zoom in a little further. Let's check the 15-minute. Looks like we have a fairly significant downtrend line forming here on the 15-minute. If we got a break of this, I'm going to call it a wedge. Let's just see what we have going on here. If we break the resistance of this little downtrend that we have on the 15-minute, we have respected it quite a bit on the way down here, and tightly coiled too. So obviously an important level in the market. If we get a break above this and then flip that resistance into support, I think that could be a nice juicy setup. Or if we break some kind of structure like this and then look for a Fibonacci pullback, right? Let's say we go up somewhere in there looking for that pullback. If you don't want to FOMO in after the breakout, looking for a pullback, something like that. And again, obviously they don't always happen, especially with some of these these newer coins rather. Sometimes FOMO, and especially if they're low market cap. I know nothing about this coin. But yeah, that's something that I would be considering if we end up breaking some structure here. I'd look for a Fibonacci pullback like so. What else? I think I saw someone else. KSM. Oh, yuck. I don't like how this looks. I would be scared to trade this personally. As far as spot trading, maybe that's different. But when a chart's looking real gappy like that, that's obviously a lack of volume, a lack of liquidity. So I'd be terrified to trade that with leverage. I don't even know if you can. As far as this goes, I would like to see a break above this level and then some kind of a pullback. If we could get above that pullback, that's where I would start to look for some fibs again. In a perfect world, get back to my fib pocket. That's where I'm more interested in taking the entry. That's a daily chart, so a lot can happen between now and then for sure. On the monthly? Oh no. You got this at 400 to 500 bucks? Oh no. Hey man, it's happened to all of us. We've all lost a 99% trade here and there. I mean, to be fair, what was it, that monk that a few of us ended up buying, that meme coin? I think it lost 99% within like 2 days or something, but that was obviously a high risk play. Anything meme related is obviously its own level of risk. Yeah, man, that's fair. Like, who can honestly say they got into this market without a little FOMO at the wrong time, right? I mean, we've all been through the let's say XRP. I remember I was holding XRP from like $3 and what was it, $3.50 or whatever, and I think I wrote it right back down to like 80 cents before I panic sold it or something, because I was new to trading too. You know, all I saw was I got into the market and all of a sudden these things are going up 200 or 300% within a week or two. I didn't understand that they were going to pull back. I had no idea how market cycles worked. BMI, Bridge Mutual, that's a coin that I bought in, I can't remember what it was, something like $1, and I wrote it up to like $5 or $5.50 or something like that, and I sold most of it, probably back at closer to break even, but I still hold a little bit, and it's at like half a cent or something, and that's something that used to be over $5. So I mean, those things happen. wrote 1.4 mil worth. Ooh, right back down. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. That's hard to recover from mentally. Glad you're still with us, Lord Dump You. Yeah, that pain would still hurt for sure. You got in on karate at 18. What are we at now? 58. Ooh. I am looking at the right one, correct? So you're saying you got in down here somewhere? Yeah, nice. 220%. Nothing wrong with that. That's a nice spot bag right there. I have no idea what the market cap is or anything, but it's just been staircasing higher and higher. This is just absolutely phenomenal price action. Just look at this. Every time we break out of a range, unfortunately not getting my STUBER FIB pulls, but you can just see resistance flipping into support over and over. Now, if we can break above this resistance up here, hopefully do the same thing. That's beautiful that it just keeps staircasing like that. Can we find any sort of diagonal trend line? Just to be cautious if we lose some kind of a trend line, maybe something like that would be worth watching. No, that's beautiful though. I love that it's building structure on the way. You can't ask for anything better than that. Not only that, but every range just seems to, other than this one back here, they seem to be getting longer and just more established as it climbs. So that looks very healthy to me. Sui. Let's see. What could we be watching for here? On the 4 hour, looks like we had this high, set a higher high, and a higher high. So now I'll pull a fib something like so. If the uptrend is going to continue, I would love to see us find support somewhere in here. If that ends up dropping, I'd be looking for a bigger pull, more something like down to the bottom of this range. In my opinion, those would be two fine levels of support. STX. Stacks. Something to watch for here that I can tell you already is that we are just getting close to that fib pocket. Still a little bit of room to go, but just understand that we might start seeing resistance fairly soon here. As well, watch out for that. If we break that fib pocket, then watch out for that failed break of the highs here. But it is still holding the support level. I mean, this is one of those times where we don't really have that big structure break because we did end up holding this support from this range back here, right? So technically, I mean, it formed a perfect double bottom there. After we break this high, set our higher high, pull a Fibonacci from that wick. I mean, had you used the STUBER FIB technique, you would have obviously had entries here, here, and here. You would have got 3 entries there. So as far as like I was talking about earlier, as an example of a way to bring down your average entry, if you put in a 1/6 here, a 1/3 or 2/6 here, and a 1/2 or 3/6 down here, you're really bringing that average entry price down. So that was absolutely a beautiful buy zone right there. But as it stands right now, we're just getting close to resistance, so just something to keep in mind. A good time to scalp a short on BTC. What is BTC doing? I mean, I guess technically on the 1 minute, like I was showing that lower high resistance here. Yeah, if you pulled a fib there, that would have been a decent little scalp entry. Same thing, right? Laddering in at the after we bottomed out here, that would have got your entries here, here, and here. So all three would have been hit with stop loss just above the red fib. That would have been a beautiful play. But then if we were looking for take profits, the way I like to use this strategy, so then I'm looking for support fibs. Right now we have these resistance fibs, so that trade may have already played out. Because like I said, I'm looking for entries in the 786, 886 fib pocket. So obviously everyone has their own trading strategies. Just going to my strategy here, we already kind of missed that entry, right? But now, so let's say we were in from back here. If I'm looking for take profits, I am then looking for the opposite fib pull. And we would have, well, we hit my first target and my second target there. So you guys know after that, I like to leave the second half of my position running. So I take my first quarter at the 0.5 fib, my second quarter at the 786 fib. And yes, obviously this is a very small range. But like I said, I always start my trades, especially if I'm looking at the chart on a 1 minute, I have to remember to take profits on a 1 minute chart, right? I don't need to look for a 4-hour move out of a 1 minute chart. And that's where it's important, you guys, to take profits along the way. Remember what time frame you're actually trading. So I treat the first half of my positions like a scalp, like I'm trading the range. And the way I trade the range is I take my first profit at the 0.5 and my second at the 786, and then I just let the other half of my position run. So in this case, my ideal setup has already played out. Not to say it can't go down more, because like I said, I'm still hoping to hit this green box down here. I am not willing personally to take the short down there, but I more so want to fill my long entries down there. Oh, I see a few people have left. Thanks for joining, guys. Everyone who's got to go. I'm actually going to wrap up in the next few minutes here as well. Getting over an hour here. Lord Drake, you're looking at Tau. Let's check it out. Glad you were able to make it. What chart are you looking at? Bybit, BitGet, Mexi. Is that this one here? Or no, here we go. Oh, this is a 4-hour chart. What time frame or you're talking spot as well, hey? That's funny. Check this out. A break of the high. Take the fib from the lowest point between those 2 points. And that would have got you 3 entries. Love how often that's respected, you guys. Especially with a structure break like that. If the trend is going to continue, your invalidation is just slightly below these lows back here, right? This would be your confirmed high or low. So as long as the trend is going to continue, that is such an ideal entry. What kind of time frame are you looking at as far as, because you're talking spot? I don't have anything on Mexi right now, so I can't even spot. But actually, Maybe I do on one of my accounts. I probably have a little bit somewhere. I'll have to try later. It's very possible that there's low liquidity, and maybe you're just maybe MEXC is front running you. I mean, we all well, we know around here that they're kind of doing some sketchy shit. Maybe they are just front running you and making you, pushing your entry higher, making you want to FOMO in higher. Oh, just chart spot. That makes more sense. Um, is this the one? Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, there's way more price history here as well. How would the fibs have lined up here? Just because it does look like there was a little bit of a break there. But yeah, obviously my invalidation level, I like to leave a little bit of wiggle room. And that is exactly why. And that's why I have this red fib here, just to draw my eye to it, to remember to leave a little bit of wiggle room for my stop loss. And although if you're talking about spot anyways, I mean, yeah, these are beautiful. Those would have been beautiful buy levels there. Based on just a typical market structure break, right? We just had our high. We had our higher high. Lowest point between the two is right here. So that's where I'm pulling my Fibonacci's from. And that's where I'm looking for that 786, 886 pullback. Or ideally, the full pullback to get the full entry. Look at some shorter time frames here. Well, I guess it's going to be the same thing, right? I mean, we're just staircasing higher. So as far as this trend goes, yeah, we're just basically this, yeah, same fib pull on the hourly, right? So this is the level that I want to hold as support right now. There is potential resistance coming up ahead, obviously. This is going to be very micro analyzing, but it is just something to be aware of if we start seeing weakness at the level. Is we did technically set this higher high, and then if you really want to micro analyze, we did break that level. So if we wanted to just consider this our structure break, and then looking for that bounce once we eventually pull back, right? Like I showed earlier, quite often these fibs get respected anyways, with or without a structure break. So even micro analyzing like that, it's just important to be aware of this level, right? We may see some resistance up ahead. I think it largely depends what Bitcoin does, though. Honestly, when it comes down to any altcoin, if Bitcoin all of a sudden loses support and just gets absolutely nuked, it might be a bloody time for altcoins. But if Bitcoin keeps doing the old pump, and especially if we pump and then actually start ranging, like let's say we don't actually get a harsh rejection here, but we just start ranging something like this, I think altcoins are going to go nuts. As soon as Bitcoin is able to kind of, as I always say, calm its titties after a nice pump and just kind of chill out and trade sideways rather than absolutely just like panic nuking right away at a resistance level, if there's any sign of strength there, that's where we start to see altcoins start to explode. Oh, here we're getting back to that lower high structure. So technically, yes, you could take a short here. It's just, I mean, we've already tested this level so much that it's starting to look like we may end up breaking through. I really, when I notice this structure, like in this case, like I showed the lower low, that's the lowest point between the two, which is where the pull comes from. Or the resistance box rather. I'm mostly interested in that move the first time, looking for that rejection, because so often after you set a new structure level like that, the very first time it's tested, it's just that people traders, market makers, whoever wants to test that level. So quite often you will see that reaction there. Whereas, you know, when all of a sudden we start to see important bounces, like let's say, even though we never had the structure break, but starting to show validation of some important support levels like this, the market just may lose that confidence in the sell-off, right? And that's exactly why I'm not willing to short right now. Just the fact that, you know, yeah, I guess it would be good risk reward because your stop loss could be very tight. I'm just personally not willing to take that position now just because we've tested it a few times. But obviously everyone has their own strategies. I'm just more focused on the long side today. I'm actually really curious. I want to take off here right away, but I am curious to see if we end up breaking this level. Because like I said, I'm going to have to adjust my my next entry if we do break above this level right now. And it would be nice to be able to do that with you guys live. And that's why I want to stick around for a couple more minutes. So we're just going to basically stare at my 1 minute chart here and see what happens the next few minutes. It is a resistance level. There's no doubting that. The market is struggling and it is respecting that level. But like I said, I'm just not willing to take another stab at this. Hopefully you guys don't mind. I'm just going to stare at the 1 minute chart here for a little bit. Let's see what the other indicators are saying, actually. Something I never really brought up much this stream. I was too sidetracked in the STUBERs. But yeah, this is nice to see. We have the trend collection on the 1 minute also holding support currently. We have these W's trending to the upside. So that's just another reason why I wouldn't want to short right now. Just because quite often when I lose a trade, it's because I ignore my own strategy of using the direction of the trending indicators. So I really like to take that serious as well. So that's another reason I'd rather see this structure break and then get a pullback and look to long instead. The W's are reversal warnings. That's the trend dynamic indicator. That is the reversal warnings. That's one of the only things I have up on that indicator other than the candle colors because I like the way it looks. But yeah, being these signals are trending to the upside, we had a lower sell signal that kind of failed here. So it just looks like there's strength here. Even though we're at a resistance level, I'm just not confident in taking that scalp short. For those of you new here, most of you guys look like familiar faces. Maybe a couple new people. So if you are new to my streams, welcome for one, and thanks for tuning in. Couple things I want to touch on here real quick to wrap things up is the Binance retail long short ratio is actually very evenly spread. I mean, you guys know, for those of us who have been watching this in the past month or two, it's been just crazy short. There was so many people trying to short, which was just excellent fuel for more upside movement. But now it's a lot more balanced out, so it's a lot harder to use that. For those of you who are new here, I do upload these videos and I also post some of my own shorter analysis videos on my little YouTube channel here. So do me a favor, subscribe there if you are new to the community here. And as well, sometimes I share some analysis or whatever, just random shit on Twitter. So if you want to follow me there, StuTube Trading, all one word. What's going on here? We're still just trading right in that box, hey? Like, it's obviously such an important level in the market here. And I say that, you know, I'm throwing that out there loosely. It's a 1 minute chart. Take it for what it is. But I mean, if anyone wants to look at anything over a 1 hour chart for trading, I mean, you may as well get the hell out of my channel here. Just kidding. Just jokes. Take a little blasty blast here. Yeah, to me, like, just the fact that we're even closing all these candle bodies in here, it just the bears are lacking strength in my opinion. Holy hell. Oh, there we go. Had to get the deep one out. Yeah, I just really wanted to make up its mind here. I want to see which direction of the box we're going here in the next few minutes so I can go think about making some food and whatnot. Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, there we go. Bears are trying to pull the trigger. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like, trading the 1 minute with high leverage is obviously not for everybody. I want to make this clear. It works for me. I like doing it. I mean, trading shorter time frames like that can lead to a ton of bad habits, like over trading, over leveraging, revenge trading, you know, all those things that we're supposed to ignore. It's so easy to screw that up if you're and also just forgetting to take profits, like I was talking about earlier. If you're entering a position on a 1 minute, take profits based on the 1 minute. Don't be looking for a swing trade out of a 1 minute chart, for example. That's why, like I said, I always close the first half of my position in the range that I'm trading, and from there I hope to catch a runner with the rest, but I'm not banking on it, right? I think that's the reason why most people struggle with shorter time frames is, I mean, the charts play out the same. A 4 hour chart, a daily chart, a 1 minute chart, a 15-second chart, they all show the same market structure. They all do the same shit. Yeah, the longer time frames are a little more reliable, but generally speaking, they're doing the same patterns. They're having the same type of structure. It's just remembering to trade what you're trading. It's so easy to get into a position on the 1 minute chart and first of all think you're super smart because it's going in your favor, so you double down on FOMO and then you end up wrecking yourself because you update your stop loss too soon or whatever. It's so easy to just think to yourself after entering on a 1 minute chart that, oh, it hasn't been very long, I'm going to wait, or I haven't made enough, I'm going to wait. When, you know, if you're trading the range that you're in, like this, for example, if you ended up taking the short, you know, based on my take profits, I mean, we're already getting close to my first take profit. Second take profit would be somewhere in there. And that's just something that I've come to use the fibs for. I mean, obviously, I still think it's important that everyone does their own back testing. Find out what works for you. Don't just blindly take my word for it. And, you know, there's a chance that if you start pulling the fibs I'm looking for, maybe you're not looking at structure the same way I am. Maybe you don't have the same understanding I do on that, and you're just pulling from a random point, whatever. I think it's important to go back. If you have a paid version of TradingView, use this replay feature. You can go back anywhere in the chart, just pick a spot, and then you can let the chart play live for you. Find out patterns or structure setups, anything, even like what I'm showing you today. Before you put it into practice, by all means, go back, do back testing. I think it's very important to find out what works best for you and find out, just know your probabilities. Make sure that your eye is able to catch the same thing, and go back and just have your theoretical take profits as it's playing out on replay mode. see what happens first. Do you hit a couple take profits, or do you get stopped out right away, and then put that into practice later, right? But yeah, it helps with emotions so much if you have a basic understanding of your probabilities. And I know when I started trading, I would try, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours a week, I would just go back and back test charts. I would go back and back test. I would think of a chart pattern. I would go back 2 years in the chart, and I would just let it play through, and I would map out the setup that I think is catching my eye and just see what their probabilities are. And that's kind of how I go about back testing. I personally don't use order books, no. I keep my trading very simple. As I always say, I'm a simple guy. I don't need to complicate things on myself. I am my own worst enemy. I just keep it simple. I just want to draw colorful shapes and trade them. But honestly, I think there's a certain point where, yeah, obviously with a lot of experience, you learn a lot of different things about the markets, but I think it can be information overload for newer traders to start learning about too many concepts, too many different chart patterns, too many things, when you should maybe just work on perfecting, a couple different setups. Like, this is by no means the only type of trade setup that I take, right? I have some trade setups based around the indicators. I have some setups based around certain divergences with double tops, double bottoms, certain fibs. I mean, all kinds of different strategies. So you look at this, we're still showing a bit of strength here. Maybe we will get that break above that box yet. Stay for a couple more minutes. 2 more. Then I'll start giving up on this. But just to go into it ahead of time here, if we do break this red box, that's where I will be actually hoping to get into the market a little bit earlier than down here for the additional entry there. For those of you who haven't been here the whole time, I'm still in my entry from 45,000, half my entry rather, half my position. And yeah, I am hoping to get back in, add that half back into my position if we do pull back to that green box. If we break this red box right now, I'm just going to start chasing the price with a fib. If we top out here, well, that's my fib. If we keep climbing, I'm just going to follow wherever the price ends up topping out and just looking for that pullback. In that case, I will be updating my stop loss, and I will end up moving my other entry from the top of this green box more so into this green box. Still not breaking it though. That's a strong little 1 minute resistance there. So yeah, like I said, I'm not looking for this fib pull until we end up breaking this red box. It's just theoretical at this point. How many trades do I take per day on average? Oh, that depends. 2 to 10? It really depends. Today, I think this was my third setup. Second or third. I can't even remember at this point. Clearly trading too much. Yesterday, I took a lot of trades because I had pointed out that there was one STUBER fib pull that I had. It would have been similar to, let's say the price does get above here and then pull back. To make it similar, it would have been something like this, where I ended up playing the same scalp 4 times. We just kept testing the 786 to the 382, and I took the same trade setup. Yeah, I was only closing a quarter of it out each time, but then I was just adding that quarter back in. Take that quarter out, added the quarter back in. My average entry wasn't changing because I just kept adding in at the same level. I literally just kept playing the same trade. So yeah, technically it was like 4 trades within an hour that I got the exact same setup. And I mean, as it kept printing, I kept taking it, right? Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like, I will set limit orders if I'm I know I often say like quite well. Here, let me be careful how I word this. Quite often, I will say that I don't like to set limit orders. That's more so if I'm looking for a failed break or that kind of a trade setup. If I'm looking for this type of a trade setup, as soon as we have broken this structure and we get candle bodies closing above that level, I have already decided that's my buy signal. Whether or not it ends up working out, that is in fact my signal. But let's say at that point, that's our top. So even though that's my buy signal up here, I would still just be setting limit orders at these levels then. But no, if I'm looking for like a trend line retest or a failed break, double top, double bottom, anything like that with those type of setups, I always like to see how those levels are reacted, and if there's one in particular that I'm watching for, I'll have alerts set, most likely to let me know every single minute until I check my phone. But as far as this FIB strategy, after I get my signal, that's when I look to set my limit orders. So it all depends on the setup, right? Every strategy is treated a little different. Yeah, and my stop loss I usually try and leave just below my 115. And again, there's still obviously the chance that it gets just wicked right to the dollar. We're all victims of that from time to time. That's just kind of a reminder, if anything, to just leave a little wiggle room for a stop loss. Yeah, oh yeah, it happens to all of us. That's why you trade with crayons. If the high blew through, can you show what changes you would make to your trades? I think I went over that. Let me know if that didn't make sense. I think I went through that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you guys found this stream useful. If you appreciated my insights, it would do me a huge favor if you go to my YouTube channel and like this video once it's uploaded. It usually takes an hour or two to upload. If not, no hard feelings. If you're here with me live and obviously in the MDX ALGO VIP, we also do now offer one-on-one mentoring. And that's just basically for those of you who want a more personal experience with help understanding the markets, understanding market structure, working on trading strategies, and so on. Like I was saying, even my specific strategies, yes, it sounds very easy to pull a fib and just look for those certain numbers and hit the trigger. There is a certain level of understanding market structure before I'm taking those trades as well, right? And when I'm updating them and that sort of thing. So that's kind of something I like to walk through there. For those of you watching this on my YouTube channel a little bit later, if you are interested in my favorite indicators as well as no KYC exchange to get your DGen on, I have a couple links in the description down below for discounts, bonuses, and so on. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.